Terrifying discovery of the Euphrates River hidden from public. The Euphrates River, which flows through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, is an important biblical landmark and a rich resource in the Middle East because of its location in the historic Fertile Crescent. The Euphrates River's water level has decreased significantly during the previous few years, and it is a sign of far worse times. Why is the river drying? Why is the information hidden from the public? Several remnants and a cave were discovered after the Euphrates River dried up. The riverbed's drying up has been cited by some as proof that we're living in the end times. Importance of the Euphrates River. Both the Bible and non-canonical literature use the Euphrates River for literal and symbolic purposes. In what ways does the Euphrates River serve as a geological marker in the Hebrew Bible? The Euphrates River is one of the two principal rivers of the Fertile Crescent in ancient Mesopotamia, beginning in modern-day Iraq and continuing through Syria and Turkey. It was first mentioned in the Bible in Genesis 2:14 as one of the four rivers that flowed out of Eden. Since then, it has been mentioned in other parts of the Hebrew Bible, non-canonical writings, and the Christian Testament. The Euphrates is frequently used as a dividing line between people groups in the Hebrew Bible. In Genesis 15:18, for instance, God makes a covenantal pledge of land to Abraham, and that area is described as having the Euphrates River as its eastern border. In Joshua 1:4, King Solomon's kingdom's actual geographical boundary is the river Euphrates, not only the promised border that he received. 1 Kings 4:21-24. Jacob takes his new family across the Euphrates to be with his parents and brother so that he can return to his tribe and escape his uncle. Genesis 31:21. It is common for the Euphrates to serve as a literary border between exiled people and their country in works that take place after the Babylonian exile. The biblical text occasionally only calls the Euphrates the river. What symbolic function did the Euphrates play in ancient writings? The Euphrates can represent more than just a literal line in ancient writings. Scholars of geography like Edward Soja point out that the field isn't apolitical or agnostic, rather it reflects the values and worldviews of its creators, both modern and ancient. God says that one day Israel will be regathered from the Euphrates to the Wadi of Egypt, as described in Isaiah 27. Israel refers to both the Israelites who went missing in Egypt and the Israelite tribes that were dispersed after the Assyrian conquest of the 9th century BCE. The Euphrates here serves as a limit, not only in space but also in time, allowing the lost Israelites to be retrieved from the distant past. The visionary redrawing of ancient Israel shown in Ezekiel chapters 40-48 takes existing geographical elements like the Euphrates and imagines them in a different context as part of a future utopian ideal. The end of times. Some apocalypses from the 1st century CE use the Euphrates as a time boundary to symbolize the eschaton, just as it is used as a temporal marker in prophetic literature. There are 4 angels held captive in the Euphrates River at the end of John's apocalypse, only to be freed at the end of time. Revelations 9:14. As the Bible says in Revelations 16:12, another angel will cause the river to dry up so that the road of the kings to the east might be prepared. As well, in 4 Ezra 13:39-47, the water is halted at the eschaton, when the lost Israelite tribes that have been hiding beyond the Euphrates River will be reborn and return to their ancestral lands. Until the end of the world, in 2 Baruch 77, the lost tribes reside east of the Euphrates. Baruch delivers letters encouraging Torah adherence in light of the impending eschaton, employing normal couriers for Jews in Babylon and an eagle for Jews beyond the Euphrates. The eagle is used fantastically to highlight the eagle's need to go through time to reach the long-lost tribes. As it is prophesied in the book of Revelation, the 6th angel poured out his bowl on the huge river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to make a path for the kings from the east. Revelations 16:12. The meaning of Revelation 16:12 is unknown. The 6th angel is depicted here emptying his dish into the Euphrates. Rivers have dried up all around the world because of what's in that bowl. All but a small percentage of the world's water supply has been either tainted or destroyed by previous bowl judgments. Revelation 16, 1-4. This verdict has nothing to do with tainting or eliminating access to this resource. The focus instead appears to be on clearing the way for an incoming army of kings from the east, which necessitates the removal of a military barrier. First drought of river. Throughout the Bible, the Euphrates is referred to as the mighty river 5 times. It was the eastern frontier of Israel's inheritance. Israel was shielded in part by the river, which was treacherous to cross, and by the wilderness to the west, which stood between it and Canaan, the promised land. It begins in Mongolia and travels about 2,000 kilometers to Israel before turning southeast and emptying into the Persian Gulf. As Revelation was written in the 1st century, the Euphrates River served as a dividing line between east and west, with the lands of China and India located to the east. Cyrus of Persia's army successfully conquered Babylon centuries ago by rerouting the river Euphrates around the city. Because the river had dried up, they were able to march right into Babylon and take it by storm. In times of trouble, an enemy army from the east will cross the Euphrates, passing through Babylon, and eventually enter Israel. The biblical texts both foretell that the Euphrates will eventually run dry. A lengthy oracle against Babylon provides the context for the first prophecy. God condemns the leaders and sages of Babylon, along with the city's false prophets, soldiers, horses, chariots, and wealth. As God has addressed the situation, it's a dry spell for her water. They will dry up because there are idols there, and those idols will become crazed with fear. Jeremiah 50:38. The rivers Euphrates and Tigris supply the city of Babylon with water. In other words, both rivers have run dry. Do we now see the fulfillment of Jeremiah's prediction? Second drought of river. As part of the 7 bowl judgments, the second time the Euphrates will dry up is predicted, beginning with the 7 seals, Revelation 6, 1-17, and 8, 1-5, the 7 trumpets, Revelation 8, 6-9, 21, and 11, 15-19, and concluding with the 7 bowls. These judgments make up the 7-year tribulation, Revelation 16, 1-21. A continuation of the bowl judgments at the end of the tribulation would result in the end of all human existence on earth, Mark 13, 19, and 20. The Euphrates River will run dry as the 6th bowl judgment, the last judgment of the tribulation. To make room for the kings of the east, Revelation 16:12 states that the 6th angel emptied his bowl on the mighty river Euphrates, and its water was dried up. This prophecy not only names the judgment, but also explains why it will come to pass, so that an enormous army from the east can move freely across the Euphrates. After that, the place that in Hebrew is called Armageddon is where all the world's kings meet. Revelation 16:16. When Jesus arrives at that time, the battle of Armageddon will wipe out all of God's adversaries. Revelation 16, 17-20, and 19, 11-21. The Euphrates River drying up is an important step toward Armageddon. Are we living through the events that will bring about a significant prophecy about the end of the world? Is the prophecy coming true? Photos taken near the river's banks show that the Euphrates has dried up in many places. The region's former life-giving regions are now mostly desert. Photographs obtained by Anha at the Rojava Dam in Tishrin, Syria's largest dam on the Euphrates River, reveal a dramatic drop in river levels. The Turkish government, which has used Euphrates water as a weapon against Syrians for years, has severely reduced the amount of water reaching Iraq and Syria. Damascus and Ankara inked an agreement in 1987 requiring Turkey to supply Syria with 500 cubic meters of water per second. However, the invading state is not keeping its end of the bargain by providing the agreed-upon 200 cubic meters of water each second. The earth is plainly showing the harmful impact of the diminishing waters. Dam lakes in Syria are drying up as a result of water shortages, and so are energy generation and delivery to the region. Additionally, there's a diminishing supply of farmable ground along the Euphrates River. First and foremost, getting clean water has become more challenging. There are serious health consequences due to this circumstance. A recent international report warns that the Tigris and Euphrates rivers could completely dry up by 2040 due to the compounded effect of climate change, reduced upstream supply, and an increase in domestic and industrial use. This ends our video for today. What do you think about the prophecy? Tell us, and subscribe to the channel to be aware of the upcoming events.